The thing in my mother's day, everybody made their own clothes and they were very, very good at it. You know, I have memories of going into fabric shops every afternoon after school and my mum picking up rolls and the lady rolling it out and with the big shears cutting it. And I loved that. By the time I was about 13, I could sew anything. And I was weird. I used to do embroidery in front of television, like an odd child. My mother, my grandmother and my auntie all made their entire wardrobes, all stylistically really different in how they actually went about it. My mother was kind of very analytical and impeccable in her make and finish of her garments. My auntie was much kind of freer and quite wild and artistic in what she did. And my Uma, or my grandmother, was a tailor and a milliner. Their influence on me was probably a bit of a fusion between my auntie and my mum. I'm probably a bit like both of them. I can be very analytical in what I do, and I can also be like pretty free and creative with it. Design has been something that I've always done since I was a really young person. My career was basically an inevitable thing that I was going to do since I was around about 10. It's sort of, I guess it's developed into focus and design, but it's really probably started with wanting to make things and loving to make things as a kid.
Making their debut on The List, Australia's Rich to 50 this year. In 2023, some 32 years and 53 boutiques from Paddington to Paris. After starting out, the sisters have successfully sold a breezily elegant take on Australian style to the world. It's enough for their wealth to be estimated at $600 million. And that is something no other Australian designer brand has ever even come close to.
The collection's called In Illustration, and I guess the interesting thing for me with the illustrations of the 20s, it was how magazines expressed what was going on in fashion. I find it an art form in itself, but also for me it's a way of working. It's a way we work. I see the garment, I see what it looks like, what it would look like walking, what it would look like on the person. So it's just a different way visually of working in design. With this collection, we had our inspiration, and it was about fashion illustration and what that means and how that expresses a garment and how it makes people feel. And then I was literally sitting in my office one day, and a friend of ours, Gracie Otto, who we work with many times, and she posted a picture of an illustration that her father had done. I mean, Grace's dad, Barry, is an Australian creative icon. And I was looking at it, and it was just a perfect illustration that can work on a garment, particularly insofar as something that we love to do is to put art on a dress. It's not just, there's a nice print. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. It's placed so that it flows. We position it so that on the body, it's what works, what's flattering, what makes it special. There's 3 specific looks with Barry's print on it, and they're my favourites, without a doubt. The lineup is when the illustration comes to life. We draw a show, so you can see it, and when we do the lineup, garments may move here and there, but what is absolutely fascinating, and I know people find it fascinating, when they see our show board drawn, they're like, oh my gosh, like that's their lineup and we've already drawn it. Showtime.
The Zimmermans, I remember meeting the Zimmermans at their studio in Foveaux Street, I think it was, in Surrey Hills, when I was a stylist, and it would have been about 1989, 1990, I guess. And they're hilarious. That's one of the great things about Nikki, is she's just hilarious. And once again, she's really honest, she's real, she's funny, and they really, I mean, their swimsuits were just divine. They were so beautifully done. And when they went into the ready-to-wear, they developed a very strong aesthetic that they stick with. You know, it doesn't matter what's going on, they just keep doing that romantic Australian meets Mediterranean kind of aesthetic, and they just stick with that because they know their customer, and that's the most important thing. Who would have thought that they were worth, what was it, 6 billion or something? I mean, it's just incredible how well they've done. Good on them. I think they're fabulous girls. I think the thing with them is they always look like they're enjoying it, and they still look like they're enjoying it. After 30 years or more in the business, I guess. That's, I think, one of the great things about them. Nikki always looks so happy at the end of a show when she takes a bow, and I think that's really important to keep enjoying it, you know. It's really hard to keep enjoying the fashion business, I find, because it can be very brutal, and it can be a really hard industry.
I grew up like in and around Cronulla. My memories would be swimming out with my dad and just playing in waves and just having great days where you just go home probably a little bit too sunburnt for what is PC now, but that's what you did. You know, particularly overseas when we're sort of asked to describe how our Australianness comes through, I think the way that I grew up with pool parties and in a relaxed, fun kind of way is a part of what it is that we do. We're working on Spring 19 and we're here in New York to show. The runway for me needs to be entertainment, like it has to say something. Like this one I want to be irreverent and fun and fresh and sexy and a bit naughty. Anybody doing anything creative, you go, yeah, I've got something good. And then you get to a section and you're like, shit, that looks terrible. The bad moments don't put me in a slump. They put me in the mindset of, well, you better fix it. The pressure really is always about us and my team, and I know my girls feel the same way, but it's not about what someone else thinks, because I think they don't know the ins and outs of what you do and how you work and how you got there. Only you and your team know. You can't break yourself with this kind of thing. It's work, and I do it because it's fun. I'm here to enjoy it. You know, and then we get in the studio and we know everyone. We know all the machinists, you know, and they come in, we all have hugs and kisses, and it's fun, and it's a really amazing thing that we've been able to set up, which is, you know, New York for us is, it's a home away from home, and we feel very happy and relaxed here, and it's great. We're very lucky. So we are doing fittings, so models coming in. It's a bit nerve-wracking because you are trying to get the right outfit on the right girl, and then we do alterations. Today it starts heating up. It's very hectic, so I better get to it.
It's amazing. In a week dominated by the biggest names in European fashion, the Dior, Chanel, Saint Laurent, with near limitless budgets and all the pomp and pageantry you'd expect from brands owned by billionaires. An Australian fashion house showing its wares is a significant achievement. Now, Colette Dinnigan made her mark on the Paris runways in the mid-1990s. Kim Ellery followed in the 2010s. And again, Akira Sagawa way back in the 1990s. But Zimmermann, founded by sisters Nikki and Simone in 1991, is following in these hallowed footsteps. And unlike Dinnigan, who only had one store in London, and Ellery had no stores outside of Australia, the Zimmermann brand has a global heft The business employs 900 people and is financially robust, with revenue as of its last reported results in 2020 of $220 million. Its clothes are coveted by everyone from the Princess of Wales to Beyonce. Its stores are glorious temples of style. It has stores in Paris, in London, in Shanghai, and in the past years has expanded to Cannes, Rome, Capri, and the list keeps growing.
I mean, Zimmermann is mind-blowing, but really it's not. Having known those two girls for a long time, you know, both of those have been committed to that brand from day one. They've known what that brand represents from day one. They've never wavered from that. You know, Nikki is an extraordinarily talented designer. Simone has a business head of, you know, epic proportions. I used to joke with her that the next time I went to buy a new car, I would take her with me because she was a much better negotiator than I ever was. You know, Chris, Nikki's husband, you know, brought another level to that business. But I think all in all, they have never wavered from what it is that Zimmermann represents. They've never been scared to push on, and they've never been scared to do what they do, even when fashion was against them, so to speak. And when I say fashion was against them, I mean, you know, the fashion trends weren't what they were about. They kept doing what they were doing, and they've succeeded like no other. I mean, it blows my mind off, and I'm so proud of them. I sound like their dad, but I'm so proud of those girls to think that that business is now what it is today, and it's epic.
As an Australian brand, we don't have a natural home overseas, Nikki Zimmermann was quoted as saying, in relation to the move to Paris Fashion Week from New York, where it showed for 14 years. We can do what we want. We can definitely do New York again, but it's about what is right for the business at the time. Paris is the home of fashion, and to show here is incredible, she said. Now, Zimmermann's turn towards Europe represents the wheels of the fashion business in motion. Milan-based private equity fund Style Capital bought 70% of the stake in the company in 2022, paying a reported $408 million. And that was according to Women's Wear Daily. A figure that the Zimmermann girls refused to confirm.
In our March fashion issue this year in Harper's Bazaar, one of the cover lines is Zimmermann en route to be Australia's first fashion unicorn. And of course that just happened. With them selling a significant stake, and I mean it's $1 billion US valuation, and amazing to see. Really a fantastic combination of obviously great ideas and talent and the business smarts. But the two girls grew up. Their father had an automotive repair business, and I mean, as I said, they grew up around the dining table. They talked about the mother did the books for the company, and they sort of grew up with this business sense of business acumen, and then started at the markets. I think she sold $1,000 worth of stuff in the first thing, and then they parlayed that into various stores, and now have over 50 stores, rolling them out internationally, and they sort of seem to be everyone's favourite party dress.
Oh my God, it looks amazing, right? It'll be memorable, it's divine.
Are you comfortable with the girls cutting the corner?
I quite like it. I just want it to be stronger and tough so that the room feels romantic, but the music is hard and the clothes are bright, and just that the girls come out fast. You look beautiful. Good. So
so gorgeous, such a great colour on you.
All right, I'm going up the front. Out, guys. All good, right? I love it.
The Zimmermann story is obviously what everyone's talking about at the moment because they've sold the business for such a huge amount of money. The Zimmermann sisters have been in the industry for about as long as I think the Sass & Bide business has been going. And again, I think what's really amazing about what they've done is they've just stayed true to their DNA and who they are the whole way through. Like, you know when a Zimmermann dress is walking down a street and you've known that from day one. They haven't lost focus of their vision, but they've been able to manage this enormous, again, machine, as I've said, that is hugely successful financially as well as extremely strong creatively. And I guess it speaks to having that partnership. What you need inside a business to create longevity and to create the success that the Zimmermann sisters have had is absolute focus on who you are and a complete and utter understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve and the ability to bring the team with you. So that everyone being on the same page and that DNA being embedded is what's essential, because there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be successes and failures, but you have to stay focused on what it is that you are as a brand to really be able to ride through the ups and downs.
Now, Zimmermann, as we all know, is an Australian fashion brand that's gained widespread global recognition and success over the past 3 decades. Founded all the way back in 1991 by sisters Nikki and Simone, the brand has become known for its signature romantic and feminine aesthetic, which incorporates delicate fabrics, intricate detailing, and a lavish touch of bohemian style. This story features the rise of the Zimmermann fashion brand, including an analysis of some of its standout shows and collections, as well as insights from founder Nikki Zimmermann. Creative force Nikki is proud to lean into her Australianness from an inspiration source. But unlike Jenny Key or the way Ken Doan once did, hers is a nuanced approach to their national identity. Previous collections have been inspired from everything from Number 96, the TV show, to Countdown. In 2017, Nikki created a range based on the photographs of the students of University of New South Wales in the 1920s. One collection featured the works of botanist and illustrator Alice Rowan, a collaboration with the National Library of Australia.
Whenever somebody asked me if there's anything else that you would have done, I would have loved to have been a florist. Flowers make you feel happy, and with fashion, like, for me, that's what it's about. Something I've been interested in for literally season after season is to work with botanical art. We came across Alice Rowan and her beautiful colours, the femininity, her way of showing light through her paintings. For me, what I loved about it was that it didn't have that scientific feel of what we normally see with botanical art. And in the turn of the century in Australia, this was an unusual thing and something that we knew we really, really wanted to work with. We've been very fortunate to be given access to the Alice Rowan prints. One of the ideas that was really important to us was that the fabrication was transparent and that the printing would then be able to have light shining through it, and we would achieve this beautiful glow and you would get the different levels of colour. The mix of the tailoring and the suiting and the milky colours, we were really wanted to use that as balancing to the diaphanous shapes of the florals that we created, because it's very much how I feel. You know, I might want to wear a masculine suit one day and the next day I'll come in a proper floral dress. Doing this collection in the circumstances, it's actually quite rare for me to be in Australia for this amount of time. I was able to take advantage of living actually near the bush, and it's been great to be able to utilise the place that you live for all the beautiful aspects that it has, and it's made me really love where I come from even more. I'd love to be a flower hunter.
A 2019 collection imagined World War II hero Nancy Wake. Another was inspired by the sisters' own childhood holidays in none other than Surfers Paradise.
The inspiration for the collection was about that nostalgic feeling that you get from Super 8 footage. You know, I have memories of having movie nights and, you know, the red outline and the thing would flicker, and those films were always about birthday parties, kids running around in the sun, swimming pools, beaches, holidays. Everyone's really happy and having fun, and I guess that really, it does bring back great memories. Sydney is, and Australia in general, is an ongoing inspiration. I certainly do like to draw from things that are familiar to me. Resort is about colour and fun, and it's important to have beautiful new fresh textures, curtaining or tablecloth or something, those beautiful florals, and trying to get someone to feel something in those garments. I think that there's a real elegance to it as well, and a certain nostalgic sort of golden light we've tried to get through in our colouring. So hopefully we did that. All of the knowledge that we have and all of the resources we have in embroidery and technically how we do the pleating and printing and applying these things to garments that makes them new and fresh and modern.
In 2011, when Zimmermann opened its first US store in Los Angeles, video footage of Sydney played in the boutique, directed by Australian director Lauren Askell. For its last show on Australian soil, the brand staged a runway spectacle at the classic Throttle Shop in North Sydney. Another season, Nikki drew inspiration from Australian artist Rupert Bunny, whose painting she borrowed from the National Gallery Victoria while designing. The collection featured many known signatures of the house: guipure lace, 3D florals, stiff denim, but introduced lurex, chocolate leather in jumpsuits in form, and boucle. The look was unrushed, relaxed Australian in the most elegant way. We are Australian and we've never pretended to be anyone else, says Nikki. It's silk shirts with the name Tama, as in Tamarama Beach, printed across the front, paired with Western-style boots and denim flares, straight out of 1976. It's trilby hats and tailored suituring and waterfalls of tiered ruffles. It's rope belts and shell buttons. It's bowerbird. It's slightly chaotic. It's ultra feminine and it's very, very cool. Because that lace print, when you look up close, it's a pattern of globes repeated across the skirt. And those applique flowers are hand applied one by one atop the other, like a bouquet might be assembled. And it's the ruching of the silk. It's cut to the end just below the bust, accentuating the area while flattering others.
I was the head of the fashion design studio at TAFE since 1990. Before that, I've been actually teaching for nearly 40 years. I finished in 2018 after some adventures around the world, and I am currently mentoring designers in Fiji. I go in and out of Fiji, and at the moment, hopefully, we're working on getting a design school together over there. Nikki had Simone, so I taught Nikki. I didn't teach Simone. Simone's an accountant, you know. Background, Nikki was the designer. There was only two of them. And I know I was interviewed recently about the success of the Zimmermanns. But the thing is that those girls were a product of their upbringing. Great parents, delightful parents. And so they already had this lovely security, right, that has helped them go on their way and climb. So, you know, Nikki could not have done that without Simone, and Simone could not have done it without Nikki. So they kept it that way. And I love the fact that they're called the Zimmermann sisters. I love the fact that because Simone's the accountant, but she hasn't been pushed to the background, right? It's an equal platform.
Zimmermann, the brand, is synonymous with the beach, but it's a beach a little bit further south than one might assume. You see, Nikki and Simone were born 3 years apart. They hail from the Sutherland Shire, Sylvania Waters to be exact. Their parents, Joan and Eric, owned a spray painting and smash repair shop. Joan sewed her own clothes, and Simone and Nikki's too. And the beach was a constant. On weekends, they swam at Cronulla. Holidays they spent at Surfers Paradise. For Nikki, her goal was always fashion. There was nothing else I could do, she jokes, sitting in her Sydney offices. Simone could probably have done anything, and she's now the label's chief operating officer. Simone started in computer marketing in the mid-80s, a role she was well suited to her methodical mind, but one for her that lacked excitement. Zimmermann began as a small business with Nikki and Simone Zimmermann creating and selling their designs at local Paddington markets in Sydney, Australia. Their initial focus was swimwear, but they soon expanded into ready-to-wear clothing as well. The brand gained some recognition in the fashion industry, with its designs being featured in the Australian fashion magazines such as Vogue Australia and Harper's Bazaar Australia.
I remember when Zimmermann first came on the scene, I was just so excited that there was somebody who was representing who the Sydney girl was. Because Sydney girls are beach girls, but they're also pretty girls, but they also like to be sexy and they also like to be cool. And it seemed that Zimmermann just encapsulated all of those things. The swimwear they did was just a little bit different than what anybody else was doing. And the quality was so much better than even some of the Italian brands. So I just love the fits and the colors, and it was just so Australia.
In the early 2000s, Zimmermann began to gain international attention, with the brand showing at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in New York in 2005. The show received positive reviews, with the critics praising the brand's combination of bohemian and feminine styles. And this show marked a turning point for Zimmermann, as it helped establish the brand as a serious player in not only the Australian, but the international fashion industry.
Zimmermann were just fresh out of the Paddington markets when we first invited them to be in the first week of Australian Fashion Week. Nikki and Simone, I can remember sitting down with them and having a conversation saying that, look, we are going to show swimwear on the catwalk, but we're also going to introduce our ready-to-wear for the first time as well. And so a couple of things happened around that show. One, they brought together an incredible team around them. So people like Louisa Gent, Jodie Boland, Marie-Claude Lamette, Romy Friedman, as well as, Simone and Nicole and Nikki, and they created this incredible creative posse, if you like, which is still at the heart of Zimmermann today. And they created an incredible look and feel for that show. They introduced fedoras into the styling, incredible hair and makeup. One of the iconic images out of that show is with Emma Belfer, who worked with them, one of Australia's leading models at the time. And of course, they just changed everyone's expectations because, they didn't present themselves as a cute Australian swimwear brand. They introduced themselves as this incredible resort powerhouse. This was the initial spark that was and is now the huge global success of Zimmermann. And we first saw that spark on the catwalk at Australian Fashion Week. And that creative team is still together today, and that heritage has continued. So yeah, we were very excited to provide the platform for them to create that exposure initially.
Zimmermann's early success was rooted in Nikki and Simone's innovative approach to creating flattering swimwear, incorporating elements of high fashion into sexy and sculptural one-pieces and bikinis. While they originally gained notoriety for their sophisticated and fashionable swim and resort collections, the brand has blossomed since the 90s to now include Zimmermann swimwear, separates, kids, footwear, accessories. And Zimmermann is known for their delicate original prints, high-quality fabrics, feminine details, and classic designs with a modern spin.
know why she's successful? You know why they're successful? They're successful because they've done something that the industry lacked for a long time. They added colour, they added textures, they added frivolity, they added femininity, and they added stories, right? You put all that together, right, and beautiful quality, beautiful fabrics, beautifully made, generous fabric, right? That's what was lacking here. All that boring, dull, dirty linens and all those, the seriousness of clothing. Fashion should be fun, and the Zimmermann girls brought fun back to fashion. I was watching a documentary, a little story the other day, and they were interviewing John Legend and Chrissy Teigen at home, in their new home in Hollywood. And their little girl was playing in the background, and I spotted it straight, she's got a Zimmermann on. Now, I think that's fabulous, that anywhere, anytime now, in any shot, whether it's someone in the background or the main person being interviewed or whatever, you can see Zimmermann, because that's a success. When you're able to know who the designer is without having to read it, that's successful.
Over the years, and it's 30 of them, Zimmermann has produced many standout collections that have helped establish the brand's unique aesthetic and signature style. One of the brand's most memorable collections was its Fall-Winter 2016 collection, which was shown at New York Fashion Week. The collection was inspired by the 1970s, with a focus on bohemian silhouettes, rich textures, and bold prints.
You know what it is about them? I think they learn every year. They learn more and more about what to do and what not to do. And so I think that now Zimmermann is considered, it's sort of like it's strange, but it's sort of like a luxury label now here, right? Which is, they do beautiful dresses and all, and gorgeous stories and gorgeous colour and all this sort of stuff. But they've done something, that actually, what's so weird, I always think that it's always been there in this world, right? But what they did is they tapped onto it and did it. Didn't talk about it, didn't go, let someone else do it. They did it by putting borders and, all these things that you see all the time, and putting colour and stories.
The Zimmermann story, I think, is actually the most exciting and most successful statement of Australian fashion. A very clever, beautiful product. They just did everything right. Even in the world of swimwear, when people mentioned Australian swimwear, they'd often mention Zimmermann, which made my blood boil because we made so much more swimsuits than they ever did. But they used swimsuits as a marketing campaign, basically. It was never a big part of their business, but they were just so clever in how they marketed that brand, and the product's beautiful. Again, if my wife or even my daughters in their 20s want something new and something special, that's the place to go. Their success is due to a combination of so many things. Their products consistently good. They make money. They charge well, but they can afford to charge because the quality is so good, the brand and the marketing is so strong. They've always been very well run. They've always known their own lane. Simon and Nikki both knew exactly what their roles in the business were.
It was just a very well-run little machine, now a very big machine.
Another standout collection was Zimmermann's Spring-Summer 2019 collection, inspired by the French Riviera. The collection featured a mix of feminine dresses, tailored separates, beachy swimwear, all in a palette of pastels and bright colours. The show was held in a Parisian courtyard with models walking down a runway lined with palm trees and bougainvillea. The collection was praised for its effortless elegance and vacation-ready vibe. In addition to these standout collections, Zimmermann has also gained attention for its collaborations with other brands and designers. In 2019, the brand partnered with Nike to create a limited edition line of sneakers featuring Zimmermann's signature prints. The collaboration was a hit, with the sneakers selling out within hours of their release. Zimmermann's show for Spring 2022 explored the many different sides of the dancer. The collection is a pas de deux of binary concepts: strength and fragility, movement and structure, dark and lightness, self-discipline and creative intuition. Inspired by the empowering elegance of dance, what better way to showcase a collection than to collaborate with Harlequin, the performance floor of choice for the world's most prestigious dance and performing arts companies. Ballet is a central theme in this floral collection, inspiring bodysuits and chiffon skirts, worn with wrap cashmere tops and heels and ankle-tied ribbons. This season, we explored the ideas of strength and fragility, and we thought about dance, an appreciation of the power and athleticism, the graceful movement and the fluidity of the dancer on the stage. Zimmermann's 2024 collection is pure 1950s romance. Zimmermann drew inspiration from the vibrant love and relationships of 1950s dance halls with their latest collection, Matchmaker. This ready-to-wear resort collection featured an array of silhouettes, including exaggerated hip shapes, boxy denim separates, full circle skirts, rolled sleeve shirts, and corset waists. Matchmaker paid attention to the intricate details such as 3D sculptural flowers and paper daisy adornments, each design element adding depth and uniqueness to the collection. And the inspiration for Matchmaker stemmed from encounters in Madrid and Paris, where Nikki witnessed people dancing in the streets, immersing themselves in candid photographs of dance halls from the 1950s. Zimmermann found a wealth of movement, vibrancy, and authentic connections that sparked her creative vision. Embracing the spirit of nostalgia while infusing it with a contemporary flair, Zimmermann's collection paid homage to the dance hall era, from the Matchmaker shirt dress to the daisy knit dress. Each piece represented a modern interpretation of 1950s glamour and elegance. One of the secrets behind Zimmermann is not only the triangle, or Nikki Simone and Chris Oliver, and their loyal, highly talented staff, it's also the supreme team of long-time collaborators who have developed their personal mastery over the multiple decades of being part of the Zimmermann Brains Trust. In no special order, they include stylist Romy Friedman, beauty director Jodie Boland, hair director Renia Zaitis, art director Louisa Gent, publicist Marie-Claude Malat, advertising creative Emil Vasakis, and more recently, creative director Gracie Otto and music producer Mimi Zhu.
It's very instinctive. That's the great thing about music. Even if you're not an expert on music, you just know it feels right or not. I've been working with Zimmermann for the last 4 or 5 seasons now, and we have such a great mutual understanding of the DNA of the brand, where it's going, how we take it to another level, how the music can enhance the collection in so many different ways. And it's always exciting because we never do the same thing. We've gone really bold, we've gone full electro, which has got nothing to do with 70s. And while I was having the music meeting, I played that track. The model reacted immediately. She was dancing. Nikki reacted immediately. You just know the magic could happen, and hopefully it's going to happen at the show.
I think they had a fantastic combination of, I think Zimmermann got the combination right, you know, the talented designer, the astute sort of brand manager, business partner in Simone, the sister, and then Nikki's husband, Chris Oliver, who is a lawyer who became CEO. I think they call it the triangle. And, you know, that's a fantastic tight-knit team to run everything by. They also had the upbringing with a business. I mean, they were raised. I mean, Simone told me that, you know, when things were going well, I mean, the family went on a holiday. When things weren't going well, they were aware of the fact that you can make your own money in business. And then I think took those business smarts to their own business, and were also very cautious. I mean, it took them a long time. I mean, they didn't show in New York until 2013, I think it was. And a bunch of other, I mean, I remember going to the shows in New York, and, you know, you do the story for the Sydney Morning Herald about how many Australians were on the runway, and lots of them went. I mean, was it Wayne Cooper, who boasted about spending $200,000 on a show in New York Fashion Week, and I mean, it's like, you know, it's easy to spend a lot of money, but you've got to be able to back it up and stuff. So I think they were very cautious, and they split their business between retail and wholesale, you know, export, and swimwear, which was, you know, they had a hero product that they were very well known for. I mean, it wasn't the cheapest swimwear, but, you know, it was something sort of, you know, I mean, I think people regarded it as a swimwear brand for a long time, but so yeah, fantastic story.
Well, I think the Zimmermann girls must be masters at delegation as well, to be able to, I feel that I know personally I felt it was hard as the business grew to be able to delegate tasks and areas of the business and sort of hand that out and have confidence. So I think they've been able to obviously attract and sustain great people, and to be able to delegate well, because when you get to a business of that size, you simply can't be, you know, so deep in every area, but otherwise there's not enough, you know, hours in the day. So I think they must delegate very well, attract a wonderful culture and good people. And yeah,
I think the Zimmermann girls have been very smart with their choice of partners who they've brought into the business to help them grow and flourish. And that's paid off for them now, hasn't it?
Zimmermann's reimagining of silhouettes and choice of fabrics further breathes life into the collection. The addition of petticoats under certain dresses created a sense of volume and playfulness, while the use of silk linen and silk linen organza brings a structure and fluidity to the designs. And this third look really stood out. It's a white linen dolly dress, which carries an elegance that Zimmermann has perfected. The intricate details of the fabric are simply beautiful, specifically paired with asymmetric ruffled skirt hem. In the Matchmaker collection, Zimmermann revitalised the timeless allure of the dance hall. And Nikki captured the essence of what that era was, embracing the spirit of modern glamour.
I mean, Nikki, even in the first collection she did for the Paddington markets, she said she had a lot of it. She learned embroidery at school. She used to like to make christening dresses. So she's always had an eye for detail and embellishment and sort of artisan details, and that's what they brought to these beautiful dresses with the pure lace and the embroidery. And so people complained about the fact that their prices increased, but I mean, you know, there's a huge amount of work in those dresses, and they're very incredibly feminine, you know, with lots of ruffles. And I was at New Zealand Fashion Week just 2 weeks ago, and there was a woman in one of the finale looks from the collection that they showed in Paris, I think in September, called Wonderland. and she had the dress, and I don't know whether they made tiaras with Wonderland on them or whether this woman had one made, but she was sitting in the front row with a tiara saying Wonderland. So I think that's amazing, yeah.
Now, Zimmermann is now one of the few truly Australian luxury fashion labels. And Zimmermann is available internationally in retail locations such as Neiman Marcus, Bergdorf Goodman, Harrods, Selfridges, Saks Fifth Avenue, and with flagship stores in all the major cities, even including Capri, Italy, and of course New York, Paris, London, Sydney, Milan, Beverly Hills. One of Zimmermann's newest locations was in New Jersey in the United States, which marked the brand's 20th store in the United States since 2011 opening of their very first location in Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills. And after launching stores in the US, UK, Europe, and continuing with their international expansion with recent store openings in Spain and China, Zimmermann is always adding devotees to its following who love their breathtaking and innovative designs.
And they're very good at what they do, and I mean the success of their business is, it's not just, you know, they must have a great backing team behind them, because you see stores all over the world. I was just recently in Italy and it was in Capri, and there their store is, and I feel very proud that they've gone so far, because I know it's not an easy feat. You might think it's the backing of a good CEO or whatever, but it's not. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes to make a company become that elevated. Running a business that I guess is so international, I mean for me, probably because I was running my own business as well as a creative and doing, you know, a lot of the marketing. I mean, we had a lot of international press agents and international stores and, you know, and Australian stores. But I know it's at that kind of a level, there is so much minutiae to deal with, and there are so many different departments. It's huge, it's enormous, and I look at a lot of the French companies, and there were no real Australian businesses on an international level running a global business that was able to deal in different time zones, as well as different import and export and the different credits and working with government departments. It's a huge business, and it's really, a lot of it comes down to the management of the people and, you know, just running it ethically and properly and being able to sustain the momentum, because fashion is such a changeable business and it employs a lot of different people in different areas and different departments. So it's, you know, it's about successful recruiting and successful training and product knowledge, and there's a lot that goes into it.
The Zimmermann story is so inspiring, and I think it shows you that if you keep at it and that you just really have a strong vision and you know where you want to take your brand, that anything's possible. And I think that's an extraordinary story, and it's fantastic for the fashion industry and the new generation that's coming through. So, you know, if they put their head down and work hard and then, you know, big dreams can happen, and that's what the Zimmermann girls did.
Yeah, I think the Zimmermann girls mastered that balance, that mix of great creative product with a very, very strong commercial aspect and commercial side of the business. So many brands can, you know, be veered more one way or the other, but they just seem to balance the two so well. So they had fresh, new, cool, wearable product, always evolving, and then you know, they're two savvy businesswomen as well, with good, you know, great business acumen and good commercial minds. And what's great is that the Zimmermann brand you talk about it tapping into the, the Australian, psyche and the cultural, I guess that popular culture Australian, element. But then that has been able to transcend, internationally and be appreciated globally, even though it has had their roots really in that Australian culture.
I think the Zimmermann brand has really tapped into their own handwriting. It's very feminine, it's frilly, it's beautiful dresses. It really makes women feel beautiful, I think, when you put on one of their dresses.
In a 2018 interview with Fashionista, Zimmermann spoke about the brand's early days, saying, "We started very small and we grew organically." And I think that's very important. We had a very clear vision on what we wanted to do and we stayed to that. We didn't get sidetracked.
The Zimmermann success is just an Australian dream for every designer out there. I think that those girls deserve every credit. I remember the other day when that big announcement came of their new buyout, and everyone was just rejoicing at their success. I think it's, they're true survivors of this industry, but they're not just survivors. They've evolved to that brand and they've kept it relevant, which is no easy feat in fashion. Most brands will have 10 years out of them. And these girls have created something from the Paddington markets and have sold it for, a huge amount. It's an amazing achievement.
Now, Zimmermann has emphasised the importance of innovation and creativity in the fashion industry. In a 2020 interview with Vogue Australia, she said, "It's important to keep pushing yourself and to keep innovating. I think that's what keeps the brand fresh and exciting. We're always looking for new ways to experiment with fabrics, prints, silhouettes, and that's what keeps us motivated." Zimmermann has also spoken about the challenges of expanding the brand into new markets, particularly the US. In a 2019 interview with the Business of Fashion, she said it's been a bit of a learning curve for us, trying to navigate the US market. But I think we've learned a lot from our experiences and we're continuing to grow and evolve.
I think looking at the success of Zimmermann and as they are or approach to being a unicorn is incredibly satisfying. I think not just for me but for everybody in the Australian fashion industry, because it shows what's possible, what can be done. This was the ultimate, to be able to compete globally with Armani, Versace, Vivienne Westwood, Victoria Beckham, Dior, Fendi, Givenchy, Michael Kors, Coach, Alexander Wang, Marc Jacobs. We wanted to be seen as part of that posse and the opportunity to become a $10 million, $100 million, $1 billion brand globally. And now we've got one person in that team, and I think there's an opportunity to have more.
What I love about the current Zimmermann look is that they have managed to use their original codes and then expand on them, making them always exciting and always more Zimmermann in a way. I love the way they can mix beauty and flowing and romance, but then also bring it back to the original Sydney style, the original Sydney girl.
Zimmermann is a fashion brand that has undergone significant growth and success over the past 3 decades. Founded by sisters Nikki and Simone Zimmermann in Sydney, Australia, the brand has become known for its signature romantic and feminine aesthetic, which incorporates delicate fabrics, intricate detailing, and a touch of bohemian style. Over the years, Zimmermann has produced many standout collections, including its Fall/Winter 2016, Spring/Summer 2019, which were all praised for their unique aesthetic and vacation-ready vibe. Nikki Zimmermann has emphasised the importance of staying true to the brand's vision and aesthetic, while also pushing the boundaries of innovation and creativity in the fashion industry. Despite the challenges of expanding into new markets, Zimmermann continues to grow and evolve, solidifying its position as a major player in the international fashion industry.
What a day.